Hello, good afternoon. It's Rebecca Cramer, and I'm so excited today. I have Sue Phillips, or Scentfully Sue, with her Scenterprises. Is that how I say it? Scenterprises. So I'm really excited to talk to Sue today. So please, right now I'm on multiple channels. We are on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and a bunch of places. So thanks so much for joining us today. Really excited to have you here with us. And Sue, really excited to have you here. So maybe Sue, maybe you can introduce yourself, because I first learned about you on Clubhouse when you're pitching to billionaires.
You were there in that room.
Yeah. And so maybe you can you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Rebecca. Well, I'm so happy to meet you and do this. Thank you. The power of Clubhouse, the power of social media is amazing. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. In fact, today is a crazy day because I just had a wonderful meeting and a TV interview with NBC. It's going to be on at 4:00 today, and another one later on. So today is just a day filled with wonderful things, all about perfume. And I have been in the fragrance industry for many years. I am passionate about fragrance in the way that it really helps people feel confident and positive. You know, it used to be that people wanted to just spray something to smell pretty, and that's still very important. But I think what's happened now, particularly in this time period, people are looking for optimism, they're looking for positivity, they're looking for confidence, and they're looking to make themselves feel in a special way. And that's what I love to do. I'm very honored that I've actually been in the fragrance industry for more than 40 years. I came to America from South Africa. I started my career at Elizabeth Arden. I went to Lancome and then to Tiffany. As vice president of Tiffany, I created the Tiffany fragrance. And then I started my own consulting company, which I called Scenterprises. I created fragrances for Trish McEvoy, for Burberry, for Avon, and many others. And in 2008, when the economy shifted, I had to rethink everything. And I started doing customization, custom fragrances. And people said, Sue, what are you doing? Tupperware parties for perfume? And they laughed. And today, customization is really, really hot. So that's what I do. I try and create beautiful scent experiences for people to make them feel better, to make them confident and positive, and to really have a signature scent. So that's my elevator pitch in a nutshell.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to have you here with me. And I know that it's taken a long, you said 40 years, my goodness. It's taken you a long ways to get here. And I think the power of Clubhouse, what you just mentioned, well, I heard you on there, and it's been huge. So how have you, I guess, used Clubhouse as an opportunity to get your brand out to not only consumers, but also investors, huge, massive investors, right?
You know, the interesting thing about fragrance is that people are fascinated with it because they don't really understand it. It is our most powerful sense, and it connects memory and emotions and smell and taste. But sadly, I think many people think of it as in a very commercial way. You go to the store, people spritz you, and they say, oh no, don't spray me, I'm allergic, and they go off. And that really diminishes the entire value and the value proposition of fragrance. So when I pitch to investors and I'm talking to people, I really want them to know that fragrance is not just a commercial, little spritz and you get a sample and you get 20 samples and you throw them in your bag, because nobody values it. I have to say, honestly, I have to say people need to value what fragrance can do to them. I just had a woman in our studio today who has been suffering from COVID for a year. She finally has overcome COVID, but she has lost her sense of smell and taste for a year. And today it was a major breakthrough. Seriously, watch it, NBC at 4:00 this afternoon. It was a breakthrough that she was able to smell 3 of our blends, and she was finally able to smell after a year. She broke into tears, and I teared up because, it's not just that fragrance is, can help you medically. It can make you feel in a way you've never felt before. It can change your life. just how you feel, how you act, how you think about it in a positive way. So when I talk to investors, I want them to see the big picture, not just, well, how many bottles can I sell and what's the ROI and what's your cost of goods, and put it in a very commercial way. Yes, all that stuff is important. But I think COVID has taught us a bigger story, a bigger picture. How do people feel, and why is it so important for people to feel positive and confident during this time period? And that's what I try and do. I create a brand persona and a brand essence, which is totally transcends how many bottles you can sell in a day.
Oh, for sure. And I think I don't remember who said this. I don't remember who said it, but people will remember how you made them feel. They won't necessarily remember the information that you're giving, but they will remember how you made them feel. So regardless of what you're doing, if you can impact the way someone feels when you're around them, then they're more likely to buy from you, right?
Well, exactly. You know, I always say to people that of all the senses, our eyesight is the strongest. It's what we connect with, what we see. We're living in such a visual world. You know, you look at me, I look at you, we look at people, we look at television. So, you know, our sense of sight is very strong. But the most powerful is our sense of smell. And that is the one smell and the sense that connects everything: music, art, memory, food, emotions. And so people don't really understand it. It's centuries old. You know, it started in the ancient Egyptian times when they would make sacrifices to the gods, and they would put on an altar of wood all the elements that they wanted the gods to have. And so as a way of enjoying that, they would light the altar and they would burn it. And through the aromas wafting into the air came the word perfume, perfumum, through smoke. And that's really how it started in the ancient Egyptian rituals. And it went through all the lands and all the, you know, the cultures. The Romans, the Greeks, the Mesopotamians, the Egyptians, you know, started it, but it's gone on for centuries, and it's very powerful.
For sure. So when you're talking to the billionaires on Clubhouse or anyone else that you're speaking to about your product, what are you doing to make sure that you're selling to what people need and not necessarily the product that you're selling?
You know, I think today we're in a different mindset. It's all about romance, love, passion, sensuality, confidence, happiness, even enjoying leisure time and enjoying yourself from a solitary standpoint, being comfortable with yourself. So comfort, wellness, confidence, positivity will all get you to the point of being available and attractive to others. So it's how you feel, your own brand persona and your own essence, that transcends how you act and how you behave, that will make you attractive to other people. And I think it's that intangible metric that people want. When you put something on, you say, oh my God, I feel amazing. This is the essence that I want. It's a happiness quotient. It's a confidence.
Yeah.
All those aspects of positive. You know, we live in such a visual world today, and social media, you know, we're all on Instagram, Clubhouse, Restream. It's all a question of who are we? What is our brand persona? How you look, how you sound, how you show up. It determines your brand essence and your brand ethos. And a fragrance can do that too. So how you look, how you sound, and how you pay and promote yourself is also a way, and fragrance can help you do that in a way that you never thought of before.
And I mean, I think it's true. Like if you think about, you know, well, I mean, now we're all kind of stuck at home. Well, some of us up here in Canada,
Yes.
we're drastically stuck at home, but it's okay. It's okay. But you know, you get yourself ready for the day and you put on perfume and it does just, you feel much more confident with that extra step, right?
And you know, Rebecca, when somebody says to you as they greet you, you know, pre-COVID, we were hugging everybody. So, you know, today you can hug with a mask, but when somebody greets you and they say, oh my goodness, what are you wearing? You smell great. What does that, how does that make you feel? It makes you feel 10 foot tall. It puts a smile on your face that you've never felt before. And you feel quite literally confident and positive and amazing. And I think that's so then you're able to act in a positive, confident manner. So how the fragrance that you wear really can determine your behavior, how you feel, and how you act ultimately.
Absolutely. And so when it comes to Clubhouse or opportunities for you to pitch or talk, like tell people what your product is about, what can you suggest for people who might be watching, who might be listening, the next time they have an opportunity to in front of someone like that?
Yes, thank you for that. So the night I pitched, sadly, the people who were running the room didn't really understand the power. They talk about cologne. Well, cologne I can get at a drugstore for $49.99 or $19.99. Yes, and that could be wonderful. You might be able to certainly get a cologne at a drugstore. But, perfume is so much more than cologne. Perfume is an art and a science. The art is understanding how you want the fragrance to smell like and what the attributes should be. And the science is knowing which ingredients to put together. And I always say it's like wine or champagne. You can have a $9.99 bottle of wine or a $12 bottle of champagne compared to a $59 bottle of wine or $125 bottle of champagne. The difference is in the quality. It's different in the ingredients. And that's what we're promoting. I promote quality. And when I talk to investors, I say to them, you don't really understand that fragrance can really make a difference in your life because of the quality of the ingredients. And yes, my fragrances might be more expensive. And I've been in the industry for 40 years and I've created fragrances for companies like Burberry and Tiffany and so many. So I understand how quality can make a difference as opposed to a fragrance that you get at the drugstore that might be filled with chemicals and sulfates that are going to give you headaches and allergies. And that's why they don't understand it. So what I do is I try and educate them about how the fragrances are made, the quality, and what the difference is in terms of quality, and why the price points are different. And a $49 cologne is going to be very different than a $400 bottle. Although I will say that the packaging can help that. I mean, if you have a magnificent Baccarat crystal glass and, fine tooling, that's also going to add to the cost. But ultimately, for what we do and what I feel is important, I feel that offering quality products is important. And I want investors to know that, so that when a client comes to me and has created a fragrance 5 years ago and 10 years ago, and they love that signature scent, I'm able to continue to offer that to them. And it's still their signature formula. It's their bespoke perfume. And it might be a niche business, but the niche business is already growing right now.
Yeah, for sure. Big time. And so when you're obviously communicating value is really important to you. So when you're speaking or when you're doing pitches or when you're visible doing interviews, whatever the case might be, how would you, specifically for pitches, how did you prepare, or how would you suggest that people prepare for that sort of a situation where there's opportunity for you to raise your hand and say your pitch?
I think there's several things. Number one, I try and educate the people. Investors are interested in one thing, the bottom line. They're only interested in cost and ROI. And I think that's really important. Obviously, we're all in business. We don't want to lose money. We want to generate money, but we also want to go beyond that. So it's an educational aspect, educating the investor about how the product can make you feel. It's also showing them that the person who is at the helm of the company is so invested personally, emotionally, financially, that there's no way that product is not going to fly. I have been doing this on my own. When I left Tiffany to have my daughter, I left a pretty good job, vice president of marketing, and I had my daughter, and I knew that I wanted to continue in the business, but I had some personal issues I had to deal with, so I started my own company. I have worked in my business since the day my daughter was born, and she's 31 years old. So I started my own business, if you will, 31 years ago. I eat, sleep, breathe, talk about fragrance, making the formulas. I'm packing up the bags. I'm contacting people. I'm invested 100%, 500%. And so I think an investor wants to know that. And, when I can really talk, and I've just written my book. I don't know if you know that. I just wrote my book, which I'm very excited about. The power, how to choose the word. And I took the year of COVID because, business was not good and people were not coming to make fragrances. So how do I talk to investors? I talk to them with incredible passion, with knowledge, with expertise. I've been in this business. I've created brands for, major iconic companies. And I think they would be hard pressed to find somebody more passionate. Now, could I be more involved in the financial aspect? Yes. Could I lower my cost of goods by not having such high quality ingredients? Yes. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to compromise my quality and my standards. And when people say to me, Sue, I love the fragrance, but it's changed over the years. My signature scent has changed. I can't find it anymore. They come to me and they're so upset because they've been wearing an XYZ fragrance for so long. It's either been discontinued or it's changed. Yeah. So it's very sad.
Yeah. That's the worst when your fragrance that you buy, when you can't buy it anymore. That's happened to me before.
And how did you feel when that happened, Rebecca?
Well, it's almost like, well, what now? Like I'm going to have to, so I get migraines, but
that's another thing, by the way.
Not for everything, not for every scent. So, and I imagine that's the way that everybody is. Just because one thing affects you doesn't mean that that something else would. And so it's hard for me to find the right scent that I like that won't give me a headache. So when that happened to me, I was like, so I'm in Canada, so often it seems that things get discontinued or I can't have access to them in Canada. So this particular scent was I couldn't find it anywhere in Canada. And then I was told that it was only going to be a Christmas, a holiday. Okay.
It makes no sense at all. You bring up a very interesting point about headaches and migraines. I call it migraines. But, I've been in the industry for a long time and I have never heard more complaints about fragrances giving people headaches or allergies than I have in the last, I'd say 5 to 8 years.
Oh, wow.
Why is that? Well, there are sometimes very valid reasons. Number one, certain ingredients might no longer be able to be sourced. Think about climate change. We're now having floods and droughts and snowstorms. And so some of the natural ingredients are being, obviated because of the natural elements. So sometimes the actual, ingredients are not being able to be harvested. That's the first one. The second thing is that the FDA has ruled that certain ingredients causing allergies. So they have banned those. And there's a certain regulatory body in the EU called the European Union, that has determined certain ingredients should no longer be used in fragrance. So that's another reason. When you think about fragrances being created in the 1920s, like Chanel No. 5 was created in 1920, it's just been 100 years old. Some of those early, beautiful, classic fragrances had a beautiful, earthy, mossy, woodsy, patchouli, ambergris, musky aromas. Some of those ingredients are no longer able to be used. So they're made synthetically. And some of the synthetics cause allergies and headaches. So there are a confluence of problems. Number one, the natural elements, ingredients aren't able to be harvested, or they're not being able to be sourced, or the European Union has banned them. And so perfumers who are really talented, typically, try and concoct the fragrances synthetically. So instead of a beautiful natural rose, there's a fragrance that smells like rose, but it might give people headaches, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, my husband doesn't, he's like, why? I just want to wear cologne. I just want to wear cologne. So what I actually did was, I'm like, I'm not going to go to a makeup store where, maybe the staff isn't familiar or doesn't know. I'm going to go to a department store where there's a lady that I know, she's been working in the fragrance section for years and years and years, and I can talk to her about my problems and hopefully, and I did wind up finding him something that I could handle. But if you think about it, if sometimes you can have allergies when you put things on your skin, sometimes you can have allergies when you eat things. Of course, you're going to sometimes have allergies when you smell things. It's just logic, right?
Or certain things agree with your body chemistry and certain things don't, and understanding why and how and what those issues are. So one of the things that what we've done is I've created a scent questionnaire to really help people, number one, understand what olfactory family they like. You know, a lot of people think that women only like florals and men only like woodsy. Well, that's not true. A lot of men happen to like florals, and a lot of women happen to like, you know, woodsy and spicy fragrances. So the scent questionnaire, which is on my website, Scenterprises.com, can really help people understand what fragrance family they like. And then once they take the quiz, which is a lifestyle quiz, it's fun, it's interesting, it's educational, and it's not very, you know, it's not very complicated.
Mhm.
So, wow, it's true, I really don't like florals, or I really like woodsy, or I much prefer spicy or musky scents. So then, okay, well, this is what I like, and then you can go and find a fragrance that matches that sort of category. But I think what it really is an educational process. I like to educate people. I like to entrance them. I like to intrigue them. I like to charm them with fragrance and let them understand how fragrance can really help their lives and help make a difference in their lives.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. When you talk about your customers, who are usually your customers? Are they businesses that are looking to create their own scent to sell, or who are your customers usually?
I will tell you honestly, I've been in the fragrance industry for 40 something years. I've been in my own custom fragrance business. I started, as I told you, after 2008 happened. And custom fragrances was really not even a thing. Nobody even knew really what it meant. They didn't even know what the term bespoke meant. So who are my customers? My customers are people who love fragrance, who want to create their own fragrance. They are businessmen, they are businesswomen. They are young sort of millennials who realize now, wow, I really want my own fragrance. They are couples, same-sex couples, different sex couples. They are businessmen. They are corporations who want an experiential team building event, who are looking for interesting, innovative experiences. Cool. And many corporate, 500 Fortune 500 companies have contacted us to do innovative, fun, multi-sensory experiences, because at the end of the experience, we create a custom fragrance for everybody. And when the person wears the fragrance, they're immediately thinking of the company who sponsored it. So there's a lovely subliminal effect. So I will tell you honestly, I know that this is not the right thing to tell to an investor, Sue, who's your customer? Well, my customer is everybody. The truth is that, yes, my customer is everybody. I've had 5-year-olds contact me and via their mothers who were so entranced, they said, Mommy, we want to make a custom fragrance. And they told their mother to please contact me because they were looking at some video that I had done with some kind of influencer. They said, Mommy, this is so cool. And then I've had major celebrities, like people like Jamie Foxx and Katie Holmes and Zendaya and Susan Sarandon, and people who they also want their own custom fragrance. So I will tell you that I think it's for people who love good things, who want to feel good about themselves, who want to reflect their individuality and their personality, and who want to have a fragrance that reflects who they are and not have the same fragrance that everybody else wears, and to stand out and be recognized for being an individual and for being different. And the way they dress, the way they sound, the way they speak, and the way they smell will portray that.
Yes, absolutely. So you're a successful entrepreneur. Obviously, you have been working really hard.
I'm a entrepreneur. I'm a
entrepreneur. Sorry, my apologies. A entrepreneur. What would you say, Sue, has been your biggest challenge over the last 19? Is that what you said? 19 years that you've been doing this. What has been the biggest challenge with being a entrepreneur?
I think people realizing how seriously I take this. I think a lot of times people in corporations, they look at me, they see how I started at Elizabeth Arden and Lancome and Tiffany, and she's climbed her way up the ranks, and she started and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, I was a vice president. Yes, that's wonderful. And she's been in her own business. She's been dabbling. She's just playing at it. No, I'm not playing at it. I'm really serious. I mean, I work my butt off, and anybody will tell you that. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think my biggest challenge now, or my biggest challenge then, was, you know, Sue's been in the industry fine. Now they realize that I'm serious. I've written a book, and a book, you know, gives you the value. I've always been interested and passionate about fragrance, and I've learned a lot, and I've given that experience. And, you know, when I first started Elizabeth Arden, and I tell the story in my book, when they realized that there was a position that came across the desk of the president, and I was working for the president. And I was singing and acting at night because that's what I wanted to do. And he said to me one day, he said, you know, Sue, there's a position opening in training. He said, you'd be great in training. I said, well, what's training? He said, you know, you train the people behind the counter in product knowledge, and you motivate them, and you show them about selling techniques. And he said, but in order for you to get that job in that position, you have to go and sell and learn the drill behind the counter for 3 months at Macy's. And I said, well, you know, I'm a college graduate. I don't want to do that. And he said, it'll be the best experience you ever had. So lo and behold, I went off to Macy's for 3 months. That was my orientation. I learned about how to talk to the customer, how to promote the fragrance to the customer, how to explain and motivate and sell and inspire. And after 3 months, I had orientation with all the perfumes about who they were and how they created fragrances. And one of the gentlemen that I met had sort of spearheaded the licensing for the House of Chloe with Elizabeth Arden. And Elizabeth Arden licensed the House of Chloe for the Chloe and Lagerfeld fragrances. And this guy was this big marketing guru, sort of 6'5" and a big, bold guy, Jim Morton, and may he rest in peace. And he said to me, Sue, now you know about fragrance, you know about selling. He said, I want you to become a fragrance expert. I said, Jim, how do I do that? And finally, I can say, after all this time, 44 years later,
yeah.
And I think it's explaining to people that, and we're not explaining, but, you know, just the fact of who I am, what I've done, and I love fragrance and I'm passionate about it. And I try and impart that information in my book.
And I think it sounds like you have, regardless of what the situation was, you've been willing to do whatever it takes, even if it's not necessarily the next step or something that's glorified. You're ready to get your hands dirty and just go behind the counter, even though it's not something that it's below. I don't want to say below you, but, you know, you're already past that level. You have been willing to do whatever it takes, right?
Well, I also think having your own business is very, very challenging. Having your own business, and particularly a woman in business and a woman's owned business, is challenging. You have to put up with a lot of nonsense and a lot of skeptics and people who think, oh, you're just playing at it until, you know, you go off and you get married and have a good life, blah, blah, blah. Life has changed. I mean, women are a huge percentage of the workforce, and they are valuable contributors, and they do make a difference. And as an entrepreneur, as a solo entrepreneur, and as a solo entrepreneur woman in business, you have to do so much more than men do. There's no question. And it's you know, it's doing everything. And the other thing is paying attention to detail that some people just don't realize how important that is, particularly in a sort of luxury business like fragrance or fashion or jewelry. You know, detail is really important.
For sure. Absolutely. And so what advice could you give to someone who might be looking to start a business, or who have maybe just started, or who even want to maybe get into the type of industry that you're in right now? Like, what advice could you give? Or maybe even not that they're just starting. Maybe they're halfway through and they just need advice. What would be the most important advice that you could give?
I think give positive self-talk. There might be so many doubts that you have, and wanting to sort of say, okay, well, you know, this is too challenging, or it's too difficult, or I haven't been able to reach this person or that person, and you're willing to give up. So number one, don't listen to the negative self-talk. give yourself positive self-talk. Number two, literally, if you believe in something so fully, really go for it. Do not give up. And believe in the power of the universe, that if you really do follow your passion, and if you're really committed to something, you know, giving off those positive vibes and positive self-talk, with the ability, with all the things that you have to understand business, you have to know how to talk to people, you have to know how to sell, you have to know how to market, you have to know financial, all the basics. So now you have the basics. You have to think about, how do I take those basics? And you have to learn those basics to be in business. And then, you know, put the layer of icing and cake on the top, you know, of the cakes, and give yourself positive self-talk and pay attention to detail and never give up. It's very hard. And, you know, there are times that, you know, all of us, you know, stay up incredibly late till 2, 3 in the morning and get up early. And sometimes you don't have enough sleep, you don't eat well. But then I say to myself, look, do I really want to work for a company and be devalued? And no, it's not worth it to me. And believe me, in the 31 years that I've been on my own in my own business, I've had opportunities, and it's been compelling, you know, give up, you know, get a nice big fat salary and corporate benefits and all that stuff. But then what do you give up?
Yeah.
I can really say I'm proud of the fact that finally I can say I'm proud of the fact that I've done this on my own. I've built this on my own. I've had really no help, financial help or other help from people along the way. And I'm excited and I'm passionate. I'm very grateful to the universe and to the gods and for the industry for giving me this passion that I love to do.
And you're obviously very committed and have done so well. What are you the most excited about? So when it comes to what you're doing now or what the future is, so what are you the most excited about?
I know this sounds trite. I've been doing this for a long time, and so many people are retiring. Friends of mine in the industry, you know, vice presidents of this and presidents of that, they're retiring. I had a client come in today, I told you, who had lost their sense of smell. And the fact that this person was able to smell after a year, she sort of was very teary-eyed, and I was too. I feel, honestly, without being trite, I feel that I'm just beginning. I feel that I'm just beginning to really make a difference in people's lives and in my life. And that loving what I'm doing is giving me the opportunity to do that. You know, what will I do? Will I come up with my own fragrance line? Possibly. Will I do some other fragrances? Yes. Would I like a TV show to talk about the senses? Yes. I've already written a book. I'd like my own podcast series, my own TV series. You know, why not? Who's going to tell me no? I don't have a boss telling me no.
Very cool. That's super exciting. And yes, you should have a TV show. You should have a podcast. Of course.
I love what you're doing, and I think you're so amazing that you're doing this, and you're inspiring me because you've put this together, and I just feel that I'm just beginning, and I really feel that there is an audience. Look, I would not have known you had it not been for Clubhouse. How wonderful is Clubhouse? I've met people from around the world who are passionate about fragrance, and when I think about the breadth and the volume of people that are meeting and talking and discussing on Clubhouse, it's such a wonderful platform. And I have a room, as you know, the Power of Perfume Club, and I do Fragrant Fridays and Sensual Sundays. And I've been on it for 6 weeks, and I would never have met you had it not been for Clubhouse. So look how grateful I am that you're doing this, and you invited me, and I'm so grateful for that, Rebecca. It's really wonderful. I would like you to come to one of my clubs next time.
Yes, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. And Sue, just so that we can tune in this afternoon, I know you said you're going to be on NBC at 4 p.m. today. Is that Eastern or what time zone?
Liz, it's Eastern. It's NBC Channel 4. And it is, yes, it's at 4 o'clock this afternoon, in probably just over an hour, and 6 o'clock. So NBC is Channel 4 in New York, so it's Eastern. And I just, as I said, I haven't seen it because I came straight from the studio to see you, and I hope they do a good job. But honestly, the fact that this woman has suddenly been able to smell after a year, how amazing was that?
Yeah.
People don't know, having had COVID. You know, I will tell you in my book as well, I talk about these viral problems that people didn't know about sensory loss before COVID. 25 million Americans have lost their sense of smell, and as a result, their sense of taste, because they're so connected, because of car accidents, viral problems, just life issues. Sadly, my brother got Guillain-Barré. It's an autoimmune disorder. One day I was talking to him on the phone, and the next day he said, Sue, he lives in California. He said, Sue, I have pains in my feet. I said, Jeff, what's going on? The next day he landed up in ICU for 6 weeks and the PCU for 5 weeks. He's been in hospital and rehab for 7 months. Now, that just happened out of the blue. So that's what happens with sensory loss. Out of the blue one day, through a viral problem, autoimmune or car accidents or whatever, you lose your sense of smell and taste, and it can change your life. Yeah. So the fact that this woman, her name is Alyssa, we call her Liz, was able to smell something, she teared up and I teared up, because it is palpable when something like that happens. It's like suddenly you've been blind for years and suddenly you're able to see it. How do you express that? How do you put that into words? So please tune in at 4 o'clock on NBC this afternoon.
Absolutely. So NBC 4 o'clock Eastern, or yes, we're in Mountain Time, so that would be 2 o'clock Mountain Time. Well, Sue, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate your time. And for everyone watching, I would love, well, first of all, so Sue, we'll put your link in the chat so that people could try out that quiz that you have. I'm going to try it. I want to know what scents are the right ones for me.
And by the way, I wanted to give a plug for the book, because a percentage of the sales of the book will go to Alzheimer's Association. And the reason Alzheimer's is because memory and fragrance are very connected. And I've done a lot of fundraising events for Alzheimer's. You know, sadly, when you get Alzheimer's and dementia, you lose your memory, and fragrance triggers memory and emotion. So that's a very important aspect. My mother, sadly, was afflicted with dementia. So I like to do a lot of fundraising events to raise awareness about Alzheimer's through fragrance. So
absolutely. So we'll put, if you have a link for your book, we'll put that in the chat, and then we'll also put the quiz so that people could try that out. And guys, thanks so much for joining myself and Sue Phillips today. Also, please join my Facebook group, Social Selling Growth Masters, for more of these amazing interviews. And I go live there often. And this actual episode will also be on my podcast next week, which is She Hustles with myself, Rebecca Cramer. So please check that out. That is on Spotify and a few other channels. Thanks so much for your time today, Sue. And I'll be here again next week, y'all. See you later.
Bye-bye.